Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. We're coming to you live from Mainnet 2023 in New York City. Joining me for this segment, we have Denelle Dixon, CEO of Stellar Development Foundation, to discuss the need for regulatory landscape as it relates to stablecoins, as well as how payments are going to be reshaped by blockchain. Denelle, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to TradeTalks.
Thank you so much for having me.
What are your thoughts around clarity for the Payment Transactions Act, and why is there such a need for regulatory clarity? Because that seems to be a key theme that we're discussing in Mainnet.
Yeah, I mean, it's just imperative. I think there's a couple of reasons. First of all, in the US, we actually need to see this happen because the US needs to take a leadership role. If they don't, they might not lose people by them leaving the country, but they're going to lose the opportunity to shape the global framework around what stablecoins and other assets for the digital framework, how they work. It's just such an important piece to have stablecoins, especially if you want to have that strong US dollar stablecoin and you want the US to have a say in how that works. But this is what payments is all about. Payments, you should be leveraging stable assets to do it. Without infrastructure from a regulatory standpoint to make that happen, kind of makes it impossible for us to be able to see a lot of growth in that space.
Yeah, it's a great point. So let's talk about blockchain's transformational ability to really reshape global payments and remittances.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that, you know, the infrastructure that exists today for payments, and just like in the traditional infrastructure globally, is very fractured, and it's because it's usually based on the walls of a border, right? The border, it makes it hard. You don't have the same software, you don't have the same hardware, you don't have everything transferring. What blockchain can do is it can make it super easy, and it does do. It makes it super easy for this global transfer of value. And when you think about really trying to bridge this like global world and make it so that everybody has access to not only just to payments and remittances, but to the technology stack that makes it simple. So one of the things that blockchain does is creates that borderless world for technology and for the value transfer. And then all these applications that can build on it locally changes the framework for payments. It means that we're not just seeing companies build in the US. It means you can see companies build locally and they can solve their local problems rather than the US telling them what their local problems are, which is historically how it's happened.
Where does Stellar fit in the ecosystem?
Yeah, so Stellar, the network itself is really focused on payments and asset issuance. So it's really simple to issue an asset. We have lots of stable assets on the network. Payments we have a tremendous amount of utility from the remittance standpoint, and also just the payments and the wallets that are built on the network to make that happen. We also have securitized assets and assets that sit there that Franklin Templeton issued a money market asset on that, and it's like over 300 million in value that sits there. These are reasons that the Stellar network provides this kind of stable foundation for companies to build on. And then of course we're launching Sorabon, which is the smart contracts platform, which is going to bring so many developers and creative minds to be able to help and make the network even more powerful.
It seems as if interoperability is really improving within the space, but tell me about the recent investment in MoneyGram. What's the significance of that?
Yeah, there's a couple things. Our partnership with MoneyGram beforehand was really about demonstrating the value of traditional financial infrastructure and new technologies like blockchain coming together to make it easier, to make it smarter, to provide these global rails for everybody for on and offing from a blockchain standpoint. The investment in MoneyGram was because, frankly, like the business is really strong. We invested from our treasury. So our treasury side is the side that actually supports the foundation. And it's a really strong business in terms of all of the different facets that they're in. And we really think that like the notion of traditional infrastructure, partnering with new technologies, demonstrating the value that can come from that is just such an important thing to show. Blockchain shouldn't be treated any differently than any other new technology out there. Lots of infrastructure that you're seeing already built by traditional players coming into the space. That's what we want to see. Our investment in MoneyGram was a signal that MoneyGram is a strong asset to invest in, but also we love what they're doing on an innovation side.
And it's not just about money, you're leveraging for international aid capabilities as well.
Oh yeah, I mean this is the thing that once you have this kind of technology and you leverage a blockchain that's a global public blockchain, you can see what people can build on it. And so the UNHCR is actually leveraging that to be able to provide aid on a weekly basis into regions like Ukraine and others. That's really important. It's fast. It takes less than a minute to be able to get your wallet set up. They receive their aid from start to finish. From the start of receiving a text message saying they're eligible for aid to finish in 3 minutes. That's remarkable. They can then take their aid and they can walk into MoneyGram and cash out. They can hold it. They can put it in their bank accounts. There's so much flexibility. And when you think about what that does in situations like this for humans, is it empowers people who feel pretty powerless. If you need to be able to receive aid, you're in a pretty dire situation, and they feel empowered to like control their life and control their value. That's what blockchain technology combined with powerful organizations like MoneyGram and the UNHCR can do.
realistically, when do you think the U.S. will put some sort of framework around it, or when do you think this will be adopted at mass scale?
So the framework needs to happen this year. We need stablecoin legislation this year. The U.S. doesn't do it this year, they've completely missed the boat. So that is going to happen, I believe, in the fall. So I think that'll happen with respect to stablecoins, which once you have one piece of legislation, you'll be able to get more in there to be able to create even the market structure between like what's a commodity, what's a security, who has control over that. I think those things come afterwards. You just need that low-hanging fruit of stablecoin legislation to get there. And it's just, once you have that, you have it in other regions already.
Right.
In the EU, you already see them taking advantage of this and trying to be the leader there. So once you see that, then blockchain is going to be leveraged as it should be, which is a technology, and it should be leveraged across all of the financial infrastructure. I think it will be, and I think payments are the first place for it to really go mainstream.
All right, Denelle, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.